Hi there, welcome back. Today we're going to have a chatty Disney video with you. We get asked the question all the time.
What, on-site, off-site?
Is it worth it? So it's something that we then talk about. When you guys ask us questions, it then sort of like spurs on discussions with us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we thought we'd just continue the chat online with you. We're not going to be able to tell you whether or not it's worth it for you.
Yeah, and I think because we've already spoken about this, and it's something we've spoken about kind of a fair amount, isn't it?
It comes up
over
a
the
lot.
years.
Yeah.
It's. I don't think there's any right or wrong way. I think there's also every person's situation is different. There's lots of different variables and stuff and things to consider. Your dynamic, your means, your whatever.
Whether you're a couple, whether you're a family, a single person.
And also, things change. We look how our trips have changed from 2007, our first trip,
With a 5 and a 7-year-old.
to now going on our own trips.
Or-
Hopefully. Sometime
If
soon,
we
if
get round
we
to
get
them.
there.
But also with ours now being older teens.
Yeah, so I think before we kind of really say anything, I mean, this is just, we've got no real kind of agenda on this one, or any kind of like plan of what we're actually going to discuss. We're just going
No
to
lists.
chat and go from there. So, but I think there's no, right or wrong. Everyone's different. So I think I've kind of.
And also what might be right for you now may not be right for you in 3, 4, 5 years time.
Yeah, and I think, for example, we're going to maybe say some of our experiences, and then hopefully maybe that can kind of fit into what some people may be able to relate to.
Hopefully it might help you. So please do subscribe to our channel if you don't already. We're going to be doing a bit of a series now, we said we'd do, about like tips and advice, and I do also have quite an extensive playlist of Disney trip planning videos. Setting up planners, doing all the planning side of it. Savings, there's loads and loads in there. So, and I get asked to do those videos all the time. They're already there. I'll leave the link below for you and you can go and take a look.
I think there are some we want to refresh, don't we? Because
the savings.
Things do change a little bit. We want to keep them current. And I think if you see a video that's a few years old, sometimes people are a little bit, well, is that still current?
Yeah.
So we might do some refresh of some. So. And
then at the end of the video, I've got some recommendations of things to read, vlogs to watch and things like that. So I'll share those at the end.
Stay tuned for the end.
Yes.
We haven't stayed on site huge amounts of time, probably about 4 or 5 different times, varying between 1 and 2 days and a week. I think we've done a couple of times. We've certainly stayed off site more than we have on, and I think sometimes also we've stayed on site as part of our trip. I mean, this isn't Disney, but Universal, we've done that, haven't we? We've done a couple of nights, so we've still had our main accommodation, and we've just taken an overnight bag and stayed somewhere. So that's also been a bit of an experience as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, where do you want to start?
Well, when we first started our trips in 2007, we didn't even consider, I think I did price up Animal Kingdom, and it was way out of our budget. We were getting married out there too. Gosh, that would be actually this time.
We were there 14 years ago.
2007, yeah, it was our wedding anniversary on Sunday 14 years ago. And it was our first trip with a 5 and a 7-year-old, and we stayed at a resort off-site. We stayed at Bahama Bay. And we got married there as well, and we loved it. To us, it was perfect. We had a huge condo, 3 bedrooms,
2 bathrooms.
It was really generous with space, and we loved having our own space. And as we were talking just before we started filming this, we were quite strict with the kids' routines when they were little. We liked them to have their sleep, especially Louis. Louis's always been a handful, but he's always needed his sleep, hasn't he?
Still is.
So at the age of 5, we still liked him to be in a routine. And quite often,
to the point, we were still on holiday, so
we were on holiday.
Were still things we did.
We did watch Epcot fireworks. Yeah. We stayed late for Magic Kingdom fireworks, but we weren't that family that were there from morning till night, and the kids back again up at sort of 6, 7 in the morning.
Yeah, we were sensible with it, I think.
Yeah.
So.
And for that, we had better behaved children. I think it would have been a nightmare had we have.
Yeah, I think they got their sleep. I think, which was important.
And we've also never had buggies in the park as well. I even did Disneyland Paris with Holly when she was 3, and she didn't have a pushchair then either. I've always been really strict with that. So yeah, we did a lot of coming back to the villa. I would do like pasta and things, didn't
Yeah,
I?
well, it was also a budget thing as well. It was a case of...
You have to do what's within your budget, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we still went out to eat, but it was on a different scale to probably what we would do now. Whereas now, and this is like what I spoke earlier on about how things change, is the fact of now we wouldn't necessarily cook at, should we say, home whilst we're there. We would go out, we'd grab a quick serve, we would go to the local sort of restaurant. Yeah, we'd bring stuff back from, say, Target or whatever, but I don't think we've actually cooked, have we, properly for the last few trips? But then things have changed.
I also work
adults.
a lot more now, and I don't take time off apart from when I'm on holiday. I work 7 days a week, and then I still work when I'm on holiday. Saying that, I still work a couple of hours every morning, and so I don't want to cook when I'm on holiday.
Exactly.
So yeah, our holidays have changed that way. And then as the kids got a little bit older, we then started like popping in a couple of nights at Universal whilst we were staying at the villa. And then our friends got married in Animal Kingdom in 2012, and they gifted us a room for the night, which was lovely.
Well, they didn't actually get married in Animal Kingdom, did they?
No, they didn't. They got married at the Grand Floridian.
Yeah,
but they were staying at the Animal Kingdom, so they gifted us
a night to stay there. So that was lovely.
And then I think, do you know what I think the turning point was? This is one of the recommendations I was going to give at the end of the video. I signed up, or I started reading a lot on the Dibb, which is a message form, like a website for people traveling to the US, but heavily based on those going to Disney. And I think this is what did it. There's so much information on there, and people write up their trip reports, and it was like before vlogging, really.
Yeah. And
so then reading about everyone and seeing all the photos, staying on site, and then I started making friends on there as well. My two best friends now, who I speak with every day, I met them on the Dibb. And I think it was then starting to see and actually understand how on-site worked, and just the different options it gave you. I think that's what was the eye-opener. And then hearing about the free dining. So that's when we had our first week stay, which was at the beach club. And we had our free dining. And then we were talking about this earlier on. I think what it was, we've always been heavily based on budget as to what we can and can't do. And I actually made a list that year of working out the cost of staying at Bahama Bay for that week versus staying on site in beach club for the week.
Yep.
We worked out things like, obviously, we would say we wouldn't have to pay to go into the parks for that week, for parking.
Okay,
when you're staying on site. We had free dining.
These things have changed.
Well, you still get free parking.
Yeah, I know, but just in case, we're just talking from when we were. So if there is anything that is a little bit different,
because now you have to pay to park at the hotels.
Just check things.
Yeah, which you didn't back then. That was 2017. I've got the videos, actually, the vlogs. If you wanted to watch, I'll link those up below as well. And we worked out, like, we knew we wanted to do character meals. We knew we wanted to go to Ohana. So obviously that all came in, and we worked out if we were staying off site, how much that would have cost. What other factors came into it?
Well, I think that was kind of mainly it.
We also got cheaper park passes going through Disney as well.
Yeah.
There was just a few things, wasn't there?
I think in regard to the dining, a lot of people could say, well, you don't have to do the character dining, so is it really a fair comparison? But it was something we had wanted to try. Until that point, we hadn't done any character dining or any of the...
We had 2012.
We
did Crystal Palace.
We've done it so once, but we thought, do you know what, with the free dining, is it a case of we make the most of it and we'll do things that possibly we may never do again? That was, I think, the other viewpoint as well. The fact we do this trip, we have our almost week there, and go and eat at places that we maybe wouldn't normally choose to, or would be expensive to go to if we decided to pay. So I think that was a deciding factor. It was almost like that week was our week to indulge in things.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually.
And experience things that we hadn't before, really.
But we worked out, actually, it was pretty much even. Staying on site, that was the free dining, which obviously isn't available at the moment as we speak. But yeah, weighing it up, it was pretty much the same, so it was a no-brainer, so we decided to book that week. But then, since staying there, I think it's just shown us a different way how to holiday in Disney, and we really liked being immersed in the Disney bubble.
But I have to say, it wasn't actually the experience of staying there that made us realise we wanted to go back and do it, because our next trip, although we tagged on an extra couple of days at the end to stay at Wilderness Lodge, it wasn't on the top of our list. It was almost like we've done that. We've stayed on site. We'll stay off-site again. But then I think on that trip, going off-site, we then realised what we missed of being on-site.
And
so for us,
we missed being in the Disney bubble, didn't we?
That's what it was. For example, like the being so close, even if you got the car out, to be able to drive to the parks, resorts, etc.
I described it once
Excuse me.
as when we were off-site, I used to wake up in the morning excited that I was going to Disney, whereas at Disney I woke up excited in the morning because I was in Disney. It's like I was in the holiday. I mean, it's still like a holiday feeling when you're in a resort or a villa, but I wanted to be in Disney, and that's what I think staying on site gives me.
And I think also, talking about earlier on how people's situations change from beach club, children were older, they weren't getting up as early as we were, so that was great because they're of the age where they could be left. But we didn't obviously want to, not say hang around, but we went and go and grab coffee and donuts. We wandered into Epcot, had a walk around the boardwalk area, and also when we've stayed at our other stay on site, we've done a similar thing. And so we feel if we were doing that in where we stayed off site, we wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to wait and kind of like,
wait for we've done it before in the villa, and they just want to lie in. We've gone out and got Starbucks, but we're just kind of hanging around, waiting for them to get ready. Whereas when we're in Disney, we can actually go off and do things, and it feels really nice. Or they've even then later come and met us, which works really well.
We've said, for example, look, we can go up, and they're all for it maybe the night before.
But in the morning we can't get them up.
They're not. So it's a case of, okay, well, that's their decision. It's not like we're forcing them to do anything.
But at the same time, when you've got little ones, we've never had that of staying on site in a room with little ones. No. Which is why we've always wanted to be off site. So when they've gone to bed, we've continued with our holiday. That's a very good point, We've got takeout, we've sat and had a beer on the balcony or in our room, but we haven't had to tiptoe around.
Children have had their own room.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's as if you're at home. So
that works really well. Yeah, I would imagine, we've done a week with the kids in the room in Beach Club. I would imagine it's, I guess people do it, don't they?
They just do it. I can't. Tell us in the comments if you've done it. I hear a lot of people doing like a 2-week holiday.
We've even had it when we were staying at Beach Club. Holly was complaining about your snoring, and she was doing this over you apparently to try and get you to stop.
Right.
How do you cope with all of you in a room for the week? Or like we have it, like to try and share a bathroom, and like it's like, well, nobody look, I'm going in the bathroom. That's what the kids are like, aren't they? And then we would go out and get coffee and leave them to get showered in the morning. But it is like, I don't know how people do it. Have we just got difficult kids?
Yes. Very opinionated.
It's tricky. It's really hard.
Yeah, it's. I think it all depends on every individual person, isn't it? And I think if you've grown up with it, it might be a little bit different. I don't know, but
maybe.
But
we like our space, don't we?
But we also like, when we did do our first trip, the idea of paying what we paid, and it wasn't. And Palmer Bay wasn't cheap. It wasn't expensive. It was kind of middle of the road, wasn't it? But it was that space. It was knowing that we had that room, and I remember the first time walking into the room and thinking, "This is really nice."
But then we had nothing to compare it to. It was our first big family holiday.
But the space, the fact that we had that space, whereas we could have been in a hotel room for 2 weeks. So, I don't know, I mean, I think moving forward, for example, for us, I think on-site is going to be a very, very big part of our trips. Moving forward, again, almost that next chapter, I can see things sort of changing again, and on-site being very predominant for us. It's perfect, I think, also now that I think we're probably going to be going away ourselves, the two of us.
2 kids in uni, it's ideal time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously if they wish to come along and and join us kind of thing, fine, not a problem. But we've got the ability to travel when we want to travel. So it might be we do a week somewhere, a week somewhere else. Also, it's great for you for work because you're not having to have that great big lead up for like a 3-week trip. So it'd be just nice to maybe grab that. And I think being on site for a shorter time, if you're there for 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, whatever, being on site I think is important.
Yeah, that's true actually. And actually our last day we were there for 7 nights, and it actually felt like the longest Disney trip we'd ever had.
It was amazing actually, really, yeah.
But I think because we were on site, and we were always doing something, it just felt like we were there longer. It was such a nice feeling. Something else we wanted to touch on, which I think is really important, is whether or not you're wanting to drive out there. You've always loved driving in the States, so we've always had a car. But 1, not everybody does drive, and 2, not everybody wants to drive. So if you're spending money for car hire,
but you're staying on site,
it may be that actually that's a saving you could make. All the transport is included at Disney. So that's a big factor as well. Yeah. Especially now as you have to pay to park.
I mean, I know chatting to people on Instagram, it's a case of when some of their trips they go to Disney, they're literally on Disney. They don't go anywhere else. Which is great. That's obviously...
If that's what you want to do.
And that's what you're doing. Again, it's different for everyone, so there's no reason to hire a car.
Or we've got friends that actually stay... There's some really nice hotels all around like the International Drive area, and they stay in hotels and actually get buses and Ubers, and they've worked out that actually it works out cheaper than hiring the car for the week. Because obviously, again, especially if you're...
Taking into parking at the parks
exactly.
and things like that.
It's quite a big saving. But then at the same time, if you would never then be able to stay in a villa if you didn't have a car, because there is no way where the villas are of being able to get to Disney. So you need to work it all out what's right for you.
And again, this goes back originally to what we said in the first place. It's just, I think there's no right, there's no wrong. I think what suits you. For example, if we were to turn around and say, look, stand on site is the best thing, it's not going to be for everyone.
No, not everybody wants to be immersed in the Disney bubble all the time.
And
it is nice to get a break from it.
And also there's lots of other aspects. I mean, cost is, I'd say, a big factor.
Plus also then if you do have a car, or some people do pay for a taxi as well, and you can get off site and go to Walmart, go to Publix, places like that, stock up on your water. We find buying all the breakfasty things, the snacks, really does help us save, doesn't it?
No, certainly.
And also then eating off-site. It's really fun to eat off-site. Yeah. As much as we love Disney, we love eating off-site.
I think I'm still surprised when people say they haven't eaten off-site, or they may have been to Cheesecake Factory, or that's it.
We had a love for America though before we found Disney.
Yeah.
We'd both done quite a lot of travelling in the States previous to even having gone to Disneyworld. So...
That's true.
Yeah, I guess that's where it's come from us. I couldn't imagine going to the States and not going to IHOP, for example.
Or Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Or Target.
Oh, I love Target. Yeah, we love our shopping out there. But yeah, so there's lots of things to consider, but it's all... I think make a pros and cons list. I think that always works well.
Yeah, I think, pros and cons, and also your situation. Also, if you, for example, only go every couple of years, or even if you go every year, I think it's just look at options, and also look at the fact of maybe doing, say, a week of each, or 10 days with one, and maybe 3 days on site if you've never done it before and you're intrigued by it. I mean, I know, for example, the free dining plan, I know it's not on at the moment, and when it gets reintroduced, I think, wasn't it before, it used to be had to have a minimum, is it 5 nights stay? So just have a look at things, and if it's something you do want to try on site, try it. It might be that you think, oh, glad I tried it, but not for us.
But at the same time, it depends where you stay. I think it's all about the location. I think had we have stayed maybe at like All Stars or something, we wouldn't have had the same experience that we had.
That's not putting All Stars down in any way.
But for us, we are very much location people. Yeah. So for us, staying at the beach club, it wasn't about the fact that the beach club is deluxe and what it has to offer. It was the fact that we could walk into Epcot, we could walk around the boardwalk. That to us is more appealing than anything. Isn't it?
Yeah, so for us that's and it's not anything against any of the other resorts. We've not stayed at them, but
I really actually, because we've been to quite a lot of like the moderate resorts and that, and yeah, they actually have better facilities.
Yeah, I know, and it's really frustrating because we look at some of the, is it the quick serves?
Yeah.
We look at some of the quick serves and the options. For example, we stayed at Bay Lake in 2019, and obviously linked with Contemporary, so you go over, and I'd actually say, I know there's Chef Mickey's, but the actual quick serve... Contempo Cafe.
It was okay.
It was okay, but I'd say it was just okay.
Whereas, like when we went over to like Riverside and French Quarters,
the choices,
and they're big. There's so much space.
Yeah, it's just and I think it's.
Or Coronado Springs, we haven't been there, but it looks so nice.
Yeah, and so
or like when you go to the boardwalk, the store inside the boardwalk is tiny. I know you've got the bits and pieces on the actual main boardwalk, but what it actually for a deluxe resort, you have to kind of go outside to enjoy bits and pieces. And I do think, as much as I love Beach Club, I wish they had a quick serve. A decent quick serve anyway.
Well, they've got one, but it's not...
There's no proper seating.
No.
In comparison...
to others.
To the... Yeah.
For us, I think a lot of places it's down to location.
I think you need to write a pros and cons, what you want as a family, and what works well for you, and then work it out that way to decide if it's worth it.
Yeah, and let us know how and what works for you. How do you do your holidays? If you go as a large group, how do you do that? Do you just go in a villa? Have you ever taken time to go on site? What do you do?
Yeah, we'd love to know. And with regards to the recommendations, this isn't sponsored or anything. I've bought this with my own money. I've recently picked up or bought Adam's books. I had the previous book of this for myself, and I've just bought my mum a copy because we're all going out as a family later next year. It's such a good book. If you haven't been to Disney before, or even if you've been going to Florida, but maybe you haven't stayed on site, I really recommend this book. There's so many good tips in here, and he talks a lot about
need to have a proper look at that,
staying on site,
if you're in large groups, isn't
dining.
It, as well?
Yeah, there's so many tips. I really recommend this, and it's only $11.99. It's not really expensive, and he also does a planner now as well. So go and check out Adam Hattan. I'll leave that there so you can have a look, and his vlogs are amazing. I've actually been re-watching his older vlogs. They're so sweet. But what I love is that his vlogging style, he's friendly, he's funny, but
information as well.
I was going to say, really good information within the vlogs, as well as having a bit of a laugh in that. He's just a really good all-rounder. I'd say he's probably my favourite Disney vlogger.
Yeah.
Would you? Yeah. I really love him.
Really, yeah, I'd say easy to watch. And I think also having watched some of the others, not the Disney, but also all the ones from over here, it's. I think you're right there. It's just the fact of you are coming along.
He's so sweet.
With him on his sort of journey, his trip, his adventure kind of thing. So wherever he is, so that's the way
I also
enjoy that.
Really recommend the Dibb as well for any information you need, any questions. You can go on there, you can ask questions, or you can answer people's questions. But everything from Esther's to flights to accommodation, car hire, everything. You'll find all the information on there. There's so much to learn. And reading other people's trip reports, I think I've learned the majority of my things from doing that.
And I think just maybe, I don't know if you've anything more to say, but I think the one that got us started on our trips was the Brits Guide.
Yes.
The Brits Guide, I think that was,
that was our first ever thing that we bought.
First ever thing that we bought. We were
planning.
down on the Jurassic coast for a week away.
In a
caravan. And we decided we were going to go.
We just booked flights.
We just booked flights.
Yeah.
And we were just in the local Smiths, a bookshop.
Waterstones.
Waterstones was it? Oh, sorry, Waterstones. Bookstore here in the UK, and we were just looking through like Florida books, because whilst we were there we thought, I'll see if we can have a look. We had no internet while we were there.
No.
There's absolutely no signal whatsoever, so we got this book and I was looking through and I found the Brits Guide. Knew nothing about it, knew nothing about Simon and Susan.
Who write the Brits Guides.
Who write the Brits Guides, and it just looked, I mean, I didn't really read much of it, but it just looked right. It had that kind of quick look through.
A good book.
And I say the Brits Guide, I think the 2020 was was it the 20 something? Isn't that their anniversary version, the 2020?
I don't know. But they bring them out yearly. They're updated every single year.
And they're lovely couple as well.
Yeah, really recommend them. Who else would you recommend to watch vlogs? I like the Lodge guys. They're not Disney vloggers, but I do like their Disney videos.
Yeah,
they're what I would call alternative Disney vloggers. They a bit more adult, which I really like. I don't tend to like
it's from an adult point of view, isn't it?
But I think, again, because our trips have changed, we don't have young kids anymore, so I don't particularly enjoy watching vlogs with younger kids because they're not kind of like geared to how we do our trips. So I like watching more adult videos, so I do really like their videos.
And
Spoonful of Sugar, I love.
Yep.
And again, couples videos, I really enjoy those.
I think if you're wanting to investigate or look at tours of places, or if you're interested in knowing where to stay, there's a few other people as well. Everyone I think pretty knows of, obviously, Tim Tracker. He a couple of years ago did a series of go around every single resort.
That would be a really helpful one, actually.
And they're actually really they're quite good because they're quite in depth, and he actually literally walks, even a place like Saratoga Springs,
walks around
everywhere. So if you want to see a view of everything, to see what it's like, they're great. And also Here With the Ears.
Yes.
When we were trying to look to see like rooms and everything, they were great for room tours. So there's some vloggers obviously may not stay at places, so if you want to see rooms or things like that, they're a great one. We'll just maybe include some of the links below, and any others that we haven't
yeah, I'll pop them down below. I think we're going to finish this video now. I know we haven't given you your answers whether or not you should stay on site, because that's purely down to you and your family.
But get in touch as well, and go and any questions either on here or on our Disney Instagram.
Aid and Lisa do Disney,
which we'll leave a link on here as well, won't we? So yeah.
Will I?
Yes, you will.
Thank you so much for watching, and let us know in the comments what other videos you would like filming as well. And don't forget, I've got all those planning videos as well, so I'll leave those links below. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.